Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic that has generated a massive amount of interest globally. We're unpacking the facts, the data, and the broader context surrounding Donald Trump's recent medical checkup at Walter Reed Military Hospital. You know, with his 80th birthday coming up fast, the health and stamina of the president is an absolutely crucial factor for voters and the international community alike. So, we're going to stick strictly to what the latest source material actually tells us. Let's get right into it.
Okay, here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the perfect bill of health. Second, we'll cover the signs of public scrutiny. Third, we'll unpack the medical history and explanations. And finally, we'll contextualize age and the presidency.
Section 1. A perfect bill of health, the latest medical visit. So right out of the gate, the baseline narrative was set while Donald Trump was literally still driving back to the White House from Walter Reed. He jumped on Truth Social and posted this exact quote: "Everything checked out perfectly." And honestly, shortly after that, the official White House social media echoed the exact same vibe, posting a picture of the president with an all-caps caption shouting, "Perfect bill of health." So the official stance here is absolute, unwavering physical fitness.
And that brings us to a very significant number, 80. The timing of this recent Tuesday checkup is incredibly relevant because it's happening just before his 80th birthday on June 14th. But what's really fascinating here is how that milestone is actually going to be celebrated. The source notes that his 80th birthday will coincide with a live UFC cage fight right there on the White House lawn. It's definitely a striking juxtaposition, right? Hitting that octogenarian milestone right alongside a massive display of extreme physical combat sports.
Moving on to Section 2, signs of public scrutiny, what the public has observed.
Now, here's the crucial point. While the official messaging is all about a perfect bill of health, there is definitely mounting public speculation out there, and it's being fueled by some very specific visual cues that people have noticed since he returned to office in 2025. Observers have pointed out swollen ankles on several occasions. They've also spotted frequent bruising on his right hand, a visible rash on his neck during a recent Oval Office appearance, and moments where he apparently closed his eyes for several seconds during events. Though, to be completely fair and clear, he has explicitly and repeatedly denied dozing off.
But if we contrast those public observations with the president's own perspective on his vitality, it's pretty interesting. During an Oval Office event, he confidently stated, "I feel the same as I did 50 years ago." He said this while proudly owning his well-documented love for fast food, steak, and Diet Coke. He even cheekily added, "Maybe junk food is good." It's a really fascinating look at how he actively projects this image of enduring, almost defiant physical vigor to push back against any of that public skepticism.
All right, Section 3, medical history and explanations, the data behind the claims. Let's look at the timeline of his medical exams during his second term because, honestly, it's added a bit of a layer of confusion to the whole thing. This recent Tuesday visit is actually his third medical exam since returning to office last year. His last scheduled annual checkup was in April 2025, but that was followed by an unannounced hospital visit in October 2025, which the White House later also categorized as an annual physical. And then we have this latest May 2026 visit. Trump called it a 6-month physical, even though the White House initially billed it as an annual dental and medical exam. So keeping track of his exact health timeline is certainly a bit complex. Now, remember those swollen ankles we mentioned a minute ago? Well, there is an official medical explanation for that. Last summer, the White House actually disclosed that the president was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency. Now, this is a fairly common condition where faulty vein valves basically allow blood to pool in the legs. So medically speaking, it perfectly explains the swelling and the skin changes that observers were noticing.
And what about the bruising on his right hand? The source notes it's usually covered up with makeup, but the White House has a direct medical explanation for this one too. They attribute those marks to the aspirin he takes every single day as part of a standard cardiovascular health regimen. If you or someone you know takes daily aspirin, you probably know that increased bruising is just a super common side effect.
Another very concrete data point from his medical history is his weight. Standing at 6 foot 3 inches, his last full annual medical exam back in April 2025 recorded his weight at 224 pounds. That is a pretty significant drop from the 243 pounds he weighed back in 2019. Now, naturally, given the popularity of new medical treatments these days, there has been some speculation, but the president has officially and categorically denied taking any weight loss drugs to drop those pounds. Let's look at one more really compelling piece of medical data, this time from his October 2025 checkup. An MRI was taken to assess his cardiovascular health, which, by the way, he described as excellent. His doctor, U.S. Navy Captain Sean Barbabella, actually released a letter stating that while Trump's chronological age is approaching 80, his cardiac age was found to be approximately 14 years younger. That specific metric is a powerful tool the White House uses to counter any concerns about his chronological age.
Moving to Section 4, Age and the Presidency, the broader historical context. You know, presidential age has really become a defining, recurring theme in modern U.S. politics. Just look at the recent history. We have Joe Biden, who was the oldest president ever to take office initially, and who ultimately dropped his bid for a second term at age 81. On the flip side, we have Donald Trump, who now holds the record as the oldest president to take the oath for a second term, and he was already the third oldest when he began his first term at age 70. The age, the stamina, the overall vitality of our commanders-in-chief have literally never been more squarely in the spotlight. Which really leaves us with this final thought. We've looked at the perfect health declarations, the public scrutiny, the hard medical data, and the historic age records. As the debate around transparency and presidential health continues, we really have to ask ourselves, will the physical vigor and age of our political leaders become the ultimate deciding factor in all future elections? It's a huge question and one that promises to shape the highest office in the land for generations to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions and we'll see you next time.